Thomas Maples, and welcome back to A Sacred Journey. I hope everyone is well on their way into their new years, especially as it relates to the resolutions or the goals that you may be resolved to undertake and to implement within your life. This is one of my favorite times of the year because it equates to new beginnings. But new beginnings to what end? Well, for those of you that follow me, you know that I really examine the aspects of life that can stand in our way for us to dream and chart a course towards the dreams that we wish to obtain. As the new years come upon us, I hope that you add some time in the winter break, for those of you who have had a winter break, to reflect upon that which needs to be left behind. That's the beauty of New Year's, is that it's the end of the year. There's things that can be left behind, and ultimately that can make hopefully room within the soul to bring newness of life within, but newness in what end? In the segment and the next few segments, we're going to look at what it means to harness our personal vision. In particular, we're going to examine what it means to dream, to chart a course, to prevail against obstacles, and ultimately succeed in advancing confidently in the direction of that dream we create. So let us begin. As always, we're going to start with a poem and a quote. To work the soul is to go within. That is where the treasure dwells. But in yearning to see its beauty, the plight of hardship often swells. A wise woman once warned of perils that would distract us from the plan. Quote, untilled ground, however rich, will bring forth thistles and thorns. So also the mind of man. That was quoted from St. Teresa of Avila. What grounds have you yet to till to realize your dream close at hand? My favorite subject, the dream. But what constitutes a dream? Well, it's the ether, that point of nothingness that is within the mind. It's a figment of the imagination until one breathes matter into it. And what matters? The sweat, the work, the striving, the driving that we put into creating that dream into a reality. There's an old saying that goes, idle hands are the devil's work. Saint Teresa of Avila was not that far off when she spoke of the thistles and thorns that litter untilled grounds, much like a person's mind might craze when they leave their hands sentient. And when we are sentient, what can that do to our minds? Remember back in COVID times? It was pretty dire, wasn't it? Many of us locked in the confines of our own homes, imprisoned in the places that we dwell. But this not need be the case. You see, that sentience can lead to inner reserves, inner fuel, the body's capacity to generate more, to break through the confines that even the mind may create within. How much idleness do we see these days? Just recently, at least in the US, how much idleness was forced upon us during COVID and to what end. It is the sitting still with little to do that may be at the heart of the mental health crisis that's so prevalent amongst children and adults alike these days. But it's up to us, each individual, to engage in action, to breathe matter into the aspects of the goals and aspirations that we have to create our own inner well being, whether that be spiritual well being, physical well being, or emotional well being. Hopefully, you strive for balance in all three. To balance all three is a work of symphonic proportions. It creates the means by which our productivity helps engage the self to pull it from the idleness that it may be suffering at this time, to move it in a direction with meaning. I am often taken by the old song Amazing Grace, where they say, I once was lost, now I'm found. That lostness can be this idleness, and finding ourselves within that moment can create movement in a direction that we are engaged within, at least as a means to help create the method, the course by which we could ultimately begin to pull ourselves out of that lost perspective and move towards something greater. And this greater aspect can be a dream, it can be a goal, it can be a vision that we strive to attain. We must have direction to put our hands to work to truly be present and productive in the moment. In my decades of psychological practice, I see this as a fundamental problem that appears as an ever increasing after effect of wandering souls who lack a clear vision or a course for which they can aspire. This is the aspect of being lost. However, I am also a man of faith who realizes that even in the most lost of moments, the spirit of the human soul is capable of being found. And that human soul, once found, the essence of passion, that spirit it can ignite within, can ultimately create some avenue to allow us to bring a little meaning back into our life. Maybe it creates a passion, a dream, the subject matter for which this segment is about. Maybe it takes us out of those thistles and thorns that encompass our mind and creates the flower garden, or at least the capacity to see the flowers that may surround the thistle and thorns. That is finding that light outside of the idle hands. That is engaging the dream and overcoming the obstacles that could stand in the way of you obtaining its intent. I really hope you enjoyed today's segment, Idle Hands Without a Dream, and our exploration on ways we can harness our personal vision for 2024. In our next segment, we're going to explore how we could define our personal vision, especially as it relates to creating meaning in our life as we identify one, maybe two dreams that we can move towards. Hopefully, one short, one long term. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'd be happy to answer them. And as always, I will leave you with a blessing. Enjoy the moment of reflecting upon that which needs to be left behind. Try and envision one dream, one goal, one aspiration you may want to move towards. Let blessings, confidence, family, faith, and friends help guide you on this journey to envision, chart a course, see, believe, and advance confidently in the direction of your dreams. Goodbye for now, and thank you for joining me.